how could I just be intimate with you or just want to have sex, but I don't want to kiss you? I don't want to like hold you or nothing like that. Like, I don't want to do nothing like that. That's kind of weird to me. So as a man, because of how I show up and because of how I will show up, I've had to learn that DeMarcus, you keep moving in the way that you do. If people don't understand, if women don't understand, if they're not used to that, that's not your fault. They're going to have to put in the work to understand why being in the presence of a man like you is something that they should appreciate. Because you're doing the work, you're recognizing how you got to show up as a man, and you appreciate the women in front of you. If they're not willing to do that work, if they're not willing to see you for you are, they can kiss your ass goodbye. Because what's the point of continuing to do the work as a man, but then you fall into societal BS, and now you're lessening yourself as a man because of a woman that's not even healed is coming onto you, or a person that is trying to put you on or in the categories of the people when you've done all this type of work. That's not right. And what makes it even more fulfilling is when you've been in the presence of women that are truly able to see you for you, you realize that when you come into contact with women that don't do that, you're like, oh, I can't even mess with this. So sometimes it does take you to have certain experiences or be in the presence of people that do see you for you to realize that like how you're moving ain't crazy. And then you start to hear stories and then you start to hear about other people's experiences and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely ahead of the game. But for me as a man, even when it comes to me being married one day, my wife ain't about to just come in here and cook and clean and I'm not going to contribute in no type of way. No, we can both work on the roles together. We should both be able to do each and everything in the house. I should, as a man, be able to understand what my wife needs from the store. I should be able to understand as far as when her cycle and everything comes around, how can I help? If I don't understand, I need to learn as a man. Same thing for me. Like when it comes to as far as emotional piece, like I don't just need a woman that's just gonna be like, oh babe, it's gonna be okay. Like, no. Understand what I've talked about before when I express myself. Understand what's going to make me feel full in this moment. Understand how you can truly support me and help me to get back on my toes. I don't want just a woman that's just like, hey, we need to do. A man needs to pay 100% of the bills because she don't look like a woman that needs that a man wouldn't pay 100% of the bills for. I remember seeing that one Kayla Nicole video with whoever she is and saying, do I look like a woman that would go 50-50? The fuck does that even mean? I don't even want to be like Cam said on the podcast. He was like, I don't even want to even entertain a bitch that's gonna move like that because why would I? Somebody that sees me as an individual where because of how they feel that they look, they're like they feel that they so dope where a man like me has got to do any and everything because of how she look. I don't even want to entertain that. I don't entertaining women like that. Like it'll even put a bad taste in my mouth being in the presence of a woman like that. Because at the end of the day, I want to value you so much more than that, and that already shows that you feel less of yourself because you're putting money at the forefront of it. Hell, I can't even tell you, I've been on a good amount of dates where women were anxious. They really wanted to pay for me. I've had a woman pay on a first date before because she's like, hey, DeMarcus, like you went and got me drinks over here. And she kind of considered that as the first time of us meeting, but like us going out on a date, she was willing to pay for it. I've had women like truly like look out and be like, hey, I want to pay for lunch for you today. Like I was just thinking about you. I wanted just to send you a bit for your brand. I wanted to pay for like a mash. Like I've had numerous amount of situations, and this is different ages. Women older than me, so it's not even like an age type of thing, but it's I have to really give that to my maturity as a man. And I'm not saying this in a way, and I wouldn't even give a shit. I'm not saying this in a way to sound like I'm putting myself on a pedestal or to sound cocky or to sound no. But I think men like myself and how we do show up and how we are willing to show up and how the world truly and the ways in which the world shits on men, I feel like we have to speak up and we have to talk about ourselves in these type of ways because for me as a man, I know the type of man that I show up as. I know the type of man that my father shows up as. My dad has his flaws. He has ways that he can work on and things that he could definitely do or have done better in the household. But there's so many ways that he's shown up as a man that is just amazing, especially from an emotional standpoint. So for me as a man, I'm like, let me take that to the next level. My granddad, when he was alive, he had his ways of moving with women that wasn't right. He had some messed up ways and he had some wild, but I've been able to see how he's been able to grow and develop as a man. And I've been able to see that with the women in my life, but we're talking about the men. I've been able to see in his last years of living how he's been able to grow even more firm with the spirit and how he was able to transition as a man from the ways in which he had back in the day. And so by me being able to see those different ways of life, even though my granddad wasn't really in my father's life like that, I've been able to see a man, my father, that was able to still create a relationship with his father that wasn't there for him, but be able to get to a point to where my granddad would say, DeMarcus, sometimes I wish your dad was my dad. So by me being able to be in the presence of a man like my father that's went through so many trials and tribulations, I've been able to learn from him. So I've been able to scale that up. So for me as a man, I can't move in this life without appreciating men like this in my life, because those are the ones that have really shown up in a way where they don't get it anywhere close to the amount of praise as they should. They don't even get spoke about because you have where so many platforms and so many women are talking about these not shit dudes that they with, when in reality they ain't even qualified to attract, or they're not showing themselves as being qualified to attract a man of substance. Because there's so many dope men out here, so many men that are willing to show up and love their woman in a special type of way, but oftentimes because of how society moves and because of certain women's experiences, they're not even allowing themselves to be open to even seeing how men truly are in the world, or being able to see the best version of the man that they have. You'll have where certain women feel as if, you know, he ain't got this type of hood edge to him, but this dude can be a bit nerdy. He can really probably he might even be tough as bricks. But because he don't show that side to you, because he ain't a person that's trying to like look cool all the time, you may feel as if he's not qualified. He can have all the other qualities, but you want him to have an edge to him from an outside standpoint. You know how mentally crazy that is? He could be an attractive guy. He could be someone that got his stuff together. He's faith driven. He could be someone that's willing to do stuff around the house, but he could be a bit shorter, or because he's not someone that comes off like a tough guy and he can maybe come off as a nice type of dude. You're going to insult his whole character and say that he's not qualified because of a certain type of validation that you would prefer him to have. Ain't that crazy? But then it's like, again, there's so many men out here where there's a side that they can get to, but we also know how society moves. We also, especially know as black men, how we have to preserve ourselves because of how the world is. So there's certain men, especially like myself, where you don't even want to get to that point because you don't want to fall into the mad black man, or the black man that's just, that's going to be going to jail one day, or the black man that's not worth anything. Like, no, like, and you're not scared to be a man because of that, but also too, you don't fit into those categories. So at the end of the day, as far as you trying to be tough and everything for what's the point of that? Because society has showed what it wants to show for black men and women anyways. So if I got to feel that I've got to uphold a certain standard to be cool, that's not even the woman for me. That's not the woman that I want in my presence. I love fine, beautiful women, but I love fine, beautiful women that are intelligent, and fine, beautiful women that just embrace themselves and that aren't performative. I don't need my woman to be performative. I don't need my woman to sit here and try to be someone that just wants to say that she needs a man of God, or that she wants to judge people because of this way of moving spiritually and everything. Like, I want a woman that if she's spiritually aligned and she talks about God, like, she's moving in a way to where she ain't got to judge other people or judge other movements. Like, the way in which she shows up for God is in her character. You know how many people talk about God and talk about and judge other people, but we can't even see what they do on the outside because they hold it in, and and they're somebody that they claim to be somebody that they're not. You could have somebody that literally don't smoke, drink, that you ain't never seen them do nothing bad, but they could be out here having all the sex in the world, raw and everything. Come on now. You could have somebody that says that they can maybe not smoke, drink, ain't never had sex or been intimate before marriage. They can have the nastiest character. They can be a very judgmental person. They could also be somebody that, in ways in which they move, is just completely wrong. That could be somebody. They could be somebody that lies and takes from people, but you would never be able to know that because you don't see that. But somebody that may be authentic and share themselves and act upon how they're moving and growing, that's not integrity and stuff is not appreciated in society anymore. But that's why, for me, as I continue to be able to grow into myself and continue to be able to share myself on these platforms, I'm going to share pieces about me. I don't need to share every single thing, but I'm not going to allow people to shame or anybody to shame me because of me being my authentic self. Because at the end of the day, there's so many people in the world that truly want to do that, but they can hide behind these cameras. They can hide behind these images, but they have to go home each and every day and look themselves in the mirror. They got to deal with that depression or anxiety that they put on themselves because they're in fear of actually holding that mirror up and being who they really are. But it's cooler to be somebody else. It's cooler to play the field and to be in these conversations shitting on everybody else when you got your own stuff to handle. It's cooler to act like that you so spiritually aligned, but you have these vices and things, and you have these ways of moving that somebody just ain't called you out on, or somebody just ain't spilled your info out, but you really move these type of ways. Live that. We are all we're all imperfect. God made us in his image, and we all have things that we can work on. That's why even when I see these conversations about like religious folks telling somebody about they're gonna go to hell or what they should and shouldn't do, many people don't want to step into the shoes of where they have been. They don't want to step into the shoes of what they're doing. So that's why whenever some people just you see certain ways in which they talk or they move, that's why it can be a shock. And that's why you can be so appalled because you literally try to make it seem as if you're not a person that would ever do this, or you try to make it seem as if you're somebody that you're not. I'm not going to try to make it seem as if I'm a person that didn't have sex before marriage or a person that doesn't like to be involved in sexual situations. I'm not going to try to make it seem as if like I'm a type of guy that hasn't gotten intimate or whatever. Like I'm not going to try to make it seem like I'm the type of guy that just like does everything perfect or whatever. Like no, like it's happened. I'm not going to try to act like I'm the guy that just like it doesn't smoke or doesn't have times where he drinks or whatever. Like, but also at the same time, the way in which I do it a lot differently than how other people do it. All three of those things and the other stuff that I do as well too. So I can't be put in the same category as how the mass may do it, and nor should other people, because just because you involve yourself with something doesn't mean you do it in the same way, nor does it have as much depth. There could be somebody that literally has a sexual addiction that hasn't even done anything sexually, and their mind could be jacked up because of things that they saw and because of just how they process things in the world versus somebody that's having sex from time to time. They may not be sick in the mind like this other person over here. But when people in society want to place everybody into the same box, everybody into the same category, that's where the mind gets clouded. So for me as a man, that's why people that have try to put me in certain boxes or whatever, try to say, hey, DeMarcus, da da da, I completely ignore them. And then I'll call them out for their life. Because many times the people that's trying to judge you, trying to tell you this and that, they got some of the most biggest insecurities in the world, and they're some of the most damaged people. I've had people try to reach out to me telling me how I should structure my daily thoughts and everything like that. Come to find out how shitty that they are, judgmental, talking about me behind my back to other people, saying nasty type of things. But you trying to tell me how to change my platform because in reality, you truly jealous in how I'm moving. You truly see something about me, so you want to try to tell me how to adjust it because you want to feel like it's going to work in your narrative. But you hiding behind who you really are. I'm letting people see my growth. I'm letting people see my failures, my lessons. I'm letting people see different ways that I have of thinking, some ways that may be different, some ways that people may disagree with, but I'm allowing people to see that in the flesh, and people can help me to change my ways of thinking or be able to adjust my ways of thinking in certain, but you're not willing to do that because you're not willing to put yourself out there. At least if I have a way of thinking and it's not right, hey, by having people that are willing to see me for me, I can say, you know what, I seen it from this perspective at first, but now I see it in a different type of way. But people that want to hide behind others, they want to hide behind that image, and they want to try to talk about everybody else and try to make it seem as if they don't move in a certain type of way, that's going to get exposed. I had previously been in a situation like that where somebody tried to tell me that they move in this type of way, they're this type of woman, they don't do this, and then always talking about what everybody else is doing and how they can never do that, but then they move in a shicey type of way. I lose respect for you. I can never see you the same. The image that you try to portray, there will never be a way in which I'll be able to see that, because the whole time you're trying to act as if you're something that you're not, or you're trying to portray this image. But as me as a man, where I'm letting you show up and I'm showing you, I'm showing you that I enjoy and appreciate you for you. That should be a space to where you feel fully capable and you feel fully excited to be your best self. But that's why you can get messages from people later on when they can be like, wow, nobody's ever showed up for me this type of way. So when people got to actually do that work, that makes them reflect in a way where they're like, wow, I didn't even realize like how that made me feel. But that's why people got to do the inner work. When you've never been able to do the work for yourself, and when you've been hiding behind all these other things, when you allow trauma to continue in your life, it's going to be a shock when somebody shows up for you differently and somebody sees you as whole, because you ain't never seen that. Is that my fault as a man? Should I feel guilty as a man? Absolutely not. That just shows me as a man that I can't be in the present with a woman that looks like, that looks the part, but she ain't truly done the work. Because if you ain't never done the trauma based work, and if you ain't never valued yourself, of course you're not going to value yourself when I'm expressing it to you, because you ain't never seen that. Again, somebody can tell you all these different things. They can share all this stuff with you. They can talk about all the positives. They can share all this external validation. But if you don't see it for yourself, it's never going to amount to anything. And you're eventually going to hurt somebody. You're eventually going to do something to where you're going to lose out on a person that was truly there for you and truly seeing you for every part of you, because you never seen it for yourself. And you never took the time to actually find the value. You were so complacent with somebody else showing up in the way in which they were, because they've done the work. So for them, it's second nature. For you, it's something new. So the moment that you can go outside and somebody else give you that same type of validation, you felt as if you found somebody similar. You felt as if you came into the presence of other people that's like this person, but that's not the case. Why? Because people can smell. People um, people can smell naiveness. Like there's men and women that are out here that they can see how naive that you are, and they can focus on that. So they can make you feel and manipulate you to the point to where it can make you seem as if you're getting the same experience with somebody that truly cares about you, because they're willing to plot on that. But the person that truly values you, they're not going to do that. You know how easy it is to manipulate somebody? You know how easy it is to treat somebody like not shit, and how to do things to be able to get over on somebody? Like, to me, that seems like that's the easiest thing in the world, to lie to people, to be able to be foul, for as a man to lie about intentions, to try to make a woman feel special and actually not treat her that way. You know how easy that would be? But who in their right mind would want to be so messed up in the mind that they would want to do that? You know how easy it is for a woman to make a man feel as if she's there for him and she cares and she's attracted to him and she's only there for something else? Like, you know how wild that is? But that's why you got to find value within you, to the point to where even if something like that happens, yeah, it's gonna mess you up. Yeah, you're gonna be like pissed off and everything. But it's gonna allow you to see that you're worth so much more and value yourself in a whole different type of way, where there's no way that could just shake you 100% off the platform. It might knock you down about a good 60, 70% in the meantime, but it's never gonna knock you off 100%. Because that 30% that you're still standing on, that could just be you get back on your toes. But you getting back to the 80, 90% may just take a short period of time. But you still being on that 30 just shows you that you know that you're still valuable. And honestly, the other 70% that may have fell off, that may not even be you losing value. That may to be you getting back to who you was because you lost that for a minute. But this is me describing myself as a man and how I show up. So a woman has to be on that same type of wavelength. I often meet I meet different women when I go out. I see really good looking women, some women that seem cool, but like every woman that I come into contact, like they ain't all women that I want to entertain. They ain't all women that I would take serious. Some of them would just be a cool time, a good time. It's not too many times that you'll go out and you'll be like, hey, I can see someone that's really wife material because there's so many women that are trying to be like other women. Again, women could probably say the same thing about men. So for me as a man, for me working on my discipline, it's saying, okay, there's times like right now where I'm not being intimate, where I'm not really hanging out and doing stuff like that. I can maybe go out and meet women and it ain't nothing else. Hey, you was cool, nice to meet you at an event. If I connect with her later, cool, but like I'm trying to focus on my life and I got things to take care of. So I ain't really got time to go out and date and stuff like that. But that's just not for me just to sit at home and not do nothing. But hey, when I get a chance to go out, and I may not have money in my pockets, but I can still show up strong as a man. I can still be respectful. I can still do the things that I need to without a dollar in my pocket because the things that I would need to show up as a man, anyways, I wouldn't even need money. So, woo, this episode here, man, I thought it was going to be 10 minutes. It turned into 53 minutes. So, this is your boy, DeMarcus, man. I'm actually about to go to bed here soon. My throat's dry because it's cold in my room. But this is just kind of talking about like me and how I'm showing up as a man. And this daily thought that I did at first, I didn't even really know like how it would come off, but like this is real. This is raw. Like and I'm telling you, the amount of times that I've been in the presence of a woman and the way in which she would show up, what she would do, the experiences, and how she would just talk about how she had experienced a man like me, again, of different of women of different ages. And like I said, I mostly dated women that are older than me. It would really come out of shock because oftentimes I'll feel as if I'm doing like some basic level things or things that just like shouldn't take as much effort as a guy. And it's just been like, wow. So for me, I love to continue elevating as a man. But one thing I'm not going to do is to lessen my worth. And I'm not going to allow myself to be in a situation where I'm undervalued just to have a woman or whatever. You know how many guys are in relationships just to have someone, or how many guys that they're not even valued by their women? Like society has also taught men to really not value themselves and just really to have a woman by your side. But like having hoes and all that, that's not like men want to feel felt. So a dude can feel it's because, he had this one woman that wasn't valuing him. He thinks he's gonna have a bunch of hoes and that's gonna do it. Like, no, like a woman that truly values you and sees you for you, that's a gem. So when they're talking about finding a good thing, finding a wife is a man that finds a good thing finds a wife. I don't think a lot of women have to realize that you have to be that good or great thing. So if a man is able to find that, how would you not feel valued in a way where like, wow, like from a biblical standpoint, a man that finds a good thing in this type of world, like that should be something that you would want to feel honored by. And the same thing as far as a man, like being able to find a woman that's truly dope and that's truly like genuine and where you can be able to match with on all cylinders, that sounds hella dope to me. But every situation isn't going to always work out. You can meet cool people and dope people. It depends on where you're at in your life. It depends on what people are going through, what they're looking for in their life. But that doesn't stop you from meeting dope people. That shouldn't stop you from instilling the character and stuff within yourself that you have. Like, just because something work out doesn't mean you got to be shitty. Just because someone's really dope and because it seems like it's going to align, don't mean you got to go through with it because it seems like it's a fairy tale ending. There may not be alignment in where you all both are in your life currently. That don't mean y'all can't stop being cool. That don't mean it's got to be negative just because the situation didn't go as planned. That don't mean that you ain't going to find nobody else because you decide that wasn't the best situation for you. When you move with integrity and you move with realness and you move with love and true respect, I feel like there's life is going to, you're going to be destined for so much in life. And honestly, what people sleep on is the time that they have with themselves. By you not being in a relationship, by you not being intimate, by you deciding to not be in something, not because you was moving shicey, but you decided to not be in something because it wasn't for you. That should allow you more time to work on yourself so you can be the best version when you do find that stuff, that's that thing or that situation is for you. And you find that person you want to marry. But so many people are focusing on what they don't have that you ain't even preparing yourself to be the best version when you do have someone. So then you get with someone, you're going through like those honeymoon phases and whatever, but you're so insecure about yourself, you feel as if you have no hobbies or anything about you. And the only thing that you have is this person. You're only attached to this person. You never focused on building relationships. You never focused on looking your best self. So the only time that you feel really secure is about what this person tells you or where they're at. But it's going to get to a point to where that person is going to have a breaking point. They're going to get tired of the same shifts. Then that's when people outgrow people because folks want to be stagnant because they have someone. But I feel like I gave some real like dope gems on this one. I'm going to split it up probably into two parts, but we almost had an hour for this conversation. But that's one that was truly on my heart. This will probably be released later. So the day where I actually made this daily thoughts was probably like a bit earlier than which is going to be released, but here nor there, like it's relative. Like it's just something that, even when you're doing podcast episodes, oftentimes you can release them at later dates. But that's beside the point. As far as like, I think this goes to an extension of the conversation for about me, how I've showed up as a man in sexual discipline, like how I've been able to be intentional as a man. I think that's real and raw. And again, certain people can maybe disagree. Certain women could say, "Oh, well, this, and that." But I can tell you, based on the results that I have had, even when things didn't go a certain way, even when it turned out to be not so good, and even when the situations were very, very positive, there was still a similar. There's been a similar type of onboarding and offboarding process. There's been a similar type of experience that has went on through that. When I say onboarding, like going through the process of getting to know somebody, being intentional. When I say offboarding, like, if you decide to, if something ends in a negative way or something doesn't end in the best way or something ends positive, still that hurt during that whole process and the way that you showed up, there's going to be similarities. And through each of those processes, you just learn more about yourself. But when you truly show up in a dope type of way and you're willing to grow and evolve as a person, it allows you to not have bitterness or maybe as much bitterness, because I can say that I don't have bitterness from my past situations. There can maybe be times where I did feel a type of way and did initially have that, but eventually it went away because I was willing to constantly work upon myself. And I found the value in myself over time where there was no situation that could be the overarching viewpoint of who DeMarcus was, because I knew how I showed up. I knew the type of man that I allowed myself to be and how present that I was. And I knew the type of individual that I was working towards. I knew that I came in and I wasn't a perfect man. I knew that I had my flaws, but I also knew that I treated the women with respect. And even times where things may have not worked out, I knew that I was the type of guy that didn't go out and cheat on my woman. There may have been times where we had arguments, or there may have been difficulties, or there may be times where I was done dirty, right? Like there's been times where I've been done dirty, and there's been some things where it's not even really worth me speaking about. But like, still as a man, I realized that even how a woman did me, I had to really focus on my value, because she wasn't even ready to be on my level. She wasn't enough for where I'm willing to go. So at the end of the day, it's like you don't even focus on that piece. You focus on leveling up as yourself. You focus on being the highest value that you can be. And I'm not a man that's sitting here trying to walk around being like, I'm high value, this, and that. Like those dating conversations, the high value shit, like that I don't even have any type of space for that. I want to be the best version of DeMarcus. I want to be a man that truly appreciates his woman. I appreciate women. I don't feel that I'm a man that all these bitches ain't shit, or as a man, I never need a woman. I'm not one of those type of guys. I think there's so much value in women. I feel like a special, beautiful woman, a woman that truly appreciates me for me, I'll embrace that and love her with everything. Love her with everything. There's been so many sides of me I've been able to evolve on because of the presence of women. And there's been beauty in which I've been able to see me as a man because of how I've shown up and how women have been able to show their best selves, and how women have been able to evolve as a woman because of how I've shown up as a man. So I'm not a guy that's going to say all women ain't shit. I don't need a woman, F all these hoes. They ain't nothing like, because my experiences as a man and experiences I will continue to have oftentimes are way different than a lot of men would get to experience because they're not willing to show up as men. And then the women that they decide to be with are not willing to show up for themselves, they're not being willing to show up as how a woman should show up. And even at the same time, you can run into somebody, as I've said, where there may not be alignment. You could see somebody, they could be really dope, and then you're like, man, how did I get myself in this situation? But you're eventually going to come back to your senses when you truly see your value and you really understand your presence and what you're destined for, and how dope of a person you are. That's going to allow you to remove yourself from that situation and respect your worth. Being in space of being around someone that actually does value that. So that's my, I think I said a minute ago, I was at 53 minutes. Now I'm at 102. So I'm going to go ahead and end it. But I think this was a dope episode. This is one that I actually enjoyed. Again, another one off the dome, as far as some of my talking points. But I really wanted to come in just kind of expanding on just like me as a man, and just not like feeling as if women are worthless and feeling as if like a woman is just meant to do this certain type of thing. Like, I value women, and I appreciate women that value me truly. And the experiences that I've had, it's been beautiful to see how me being my authentic self and not shying away from that has allowed me to have the experiences of life that I have so far. So it's your boy DeMarcus. This is the life of a multifaceted. Shout out to the Facetteers. You know, we here. And definitely show love to your boy. Like, comment, subscribe on all the platforms. Please give your boy a rating, show some love. This thing that you disagree with, share it. This thing that you love and agree with, please share it. Like, I just love to hear other people's perspectives and point of views. I want this to be a space where people can just show love for themselves and just be able to talk about themselves differently than they may have in the past, because trying to be perfect and being put into boxes, like, I know how that is. That's been the story of my life. But me evolving and me embracing this version, and continue embracing these versions of myself, has allowed me to be the person that people can appreciate and love, and the person that I admire and love for myself. So the younger me smiling right now, the younger me has got to be super happy and thrilled, and the younger me has to be ecstatic that his older self is molding into just a special, even more special person. So it's your boy DeMarcus, and I'm out of here. Holla at y'all.